Hello, welcome to the tvONE Training Academy studio. In this short video we're going to be looking at the Magenta Research Active Optical Cable range and explain everything you always wanted to know about AOC cables. Now, the first thing you need to know about our cables is that they have fixed ends on them. We did this by design to eliminate any failure points. The cable itself is really malleable and it has several elements in it. It has a fiber core, and that's what majority of the data goes down. Then we have a copper element that allows us to pass power down the cable. And then you have optional armor. So we have an armored version, which there's other videos on in this channel, and that's what it looks like. So it's a little bit thicker and it's got substantially more protection. And then you can have a choice of jackets, and we'll cover those in more detail during this video. Now, the benefits of active optical cables are really useful for us. First of all, we can push down a huge amount of data. They are lighter and thinner than copper, so it's really easy to get these cables down conduits or around bends that would be impossible with a cat cable. We can use a very small bend radius, so typically for anything fiber-based you'd be looking at something the diameter of a tennis ball, whereas with our cables we can go right down to 20 millimeters. And you'll see in the other videos in this series I've actually tied them in knots and they still work, so that makes life a lot easier when you're trying to lay in cable. And lastly, they're really robust and it can handle a high tensile strength of up to 15 kilograms. Now let's look at the Magenta Research cables in more detail. First of all, they come in multiple lengths, which is really useful for when you're doing an install. You don't have to hide the additional length in under the floor or in the ceiling. You can just have pretty much the length of cable that you want. Secondly, they come in two versions. There's a HDMI 2.0 version, which takes up to 4K 60 444, and as I said already, a DisplayPort version which will take us up to 8K 60 444. There's 4 jacket options. This is a standard PVC version, but we also have a Plenum version, low smoke zero halogen version, and this version, which is the armored cable, which is perfect for live events. And I really like using these cables. First of all, it gives me really scalable costs because they come in a variety of lengths. It means that I'm not wasting money buying extra long cables and leaving them in the ceiling. Secondly, they're really easy to install because the cable is so malleable, it will go around corners and through conduits like a dream. It's highly robust. Even the standard versions of the cable, the non-armored versions, are really robust and will really take some punishment. It's plug and play, so literally plug your source and display together and it acts just like a standard cable. There's no expert AV knowledge at all, it just works. And there's no compression or latency whatsoever added to the image. It's crystal clear. And finally, unlike some active optical cables, we don't need any added power at all. We don't need power injected in the line. And we've also proven these cables with our CorioMaster 2 and CorioMaster ranges of video processors. So that's peace of mind for you. So let's look at the cables in more detail. This is a standard PVC jacketed cable. It's really malleable and it's easy to get around corners and install either in your racks or through conduits, and it's perfect for in-room installs. For example, if you wanted longer cables on your carts in a classroom. And the PVC jacketed cable is just perfect for cost-sensitive applications, especially where you're putting the cable in a conduit. We also have versions of the cables available in Plenum and low smoke zero halogen versions. And low smoke means the amount of smoke that's emitted when burned, and zero halogen refers to the amount of halogens that are used in the cable manufacture. You would use these cables in ceiling voids, you would use them in vertical cable chasers between floors, and in the airspace below raised floor systems. So as a rule of thumb, if there was conduit, I would use the PVC jacketed cable, and for everything else I would pretty much use either Plenum or low smoke zero halogen. And the final cable type is the armoured cable. First of all, it comes with a waterproof end caps, so we can keep the cable nice and dry. This will be perfect for wet conditions. It's also crush resistant. It can stand a crush of 15,000 pounds, that's 7.5 metric tons. And this cable is perfect for muddy festivals or where you come across things like forklift trucks. And other everyday hazards include things like high heel shoes. So if you placed all the weight through the heel, that would quite quickly get up to 15,000 pounds as well. There you go. That's everything you need to know about the Magenta Research Active Optical Cables. Please join us in other videos in this series where I'll be explaining each cable type in more detail and plugging them in between a source and a display so you can see the performance for yourself. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.